All right, welcome to another week of studies in Proverbs. This week we're looking at Proverbs chapter 8, and I've entitled this chapter Invitation of Wisdom. And in the first 5 verses of Proverbs chapter 8, we see once again Lady Wisdom calling out. Wisdom is personified as a woman calling out in the prominent places of the city, promises the simple wisdom, prudence, and understanding. And so this has been a theme throughout Proverbs. It's repeated here. The concept of a beautiful woman appealing to those who seek knowledge to seek her. And in verses 6 to 9, she assures us that she is true, that she detests wickedness, that she will not lead her hearers astray, but will lead them to life. Her words will be found to be right and to be faultless, so that in following her, there is wisdom and there is life and there is prosperity. The next section, verses 11 to 21, speaks of the value of wisdom. First of all, wisdom is better than gold or silver, more valuable than rubies, better than riches of any kind. Wisdom rejoices in the fear of the Lord, and in contrast to that, hates both pride and arrogance. Wisdom is the source of the right rule of kings and rulers and leaders in the earth. When things go well, when rulers are just, they have wisdom on their side. And in following the way of wisdom, we can receive blessing and rightly earned riches. So rather than just the empty wealth of those who would steal, there is the full blessing of well-earned prosperity. And finally, we are told that wisdom leads to justice, the proper functioning of society. And then as we look at the next section, we see that wisdom is a source of creation. So there's been a weaving in and out of the call to wisdom throughout the first 8 chapters. And in many ways, this passage brings us to a bit of a crescendo before the final invitations are offered between wisdom and folly. And we see that wisdom is a personification. The personification of wisdom is seen as the source of creation. Wisdom is there before the creation of the world. And in many ways here, we can see there is a parallel between wisdom and Christ as revealed in the Gospel of John as the Word of God. God created the world through his wisdom. The fullest revelation of that is the wisdom, which is the Son, the Word of God, that we see in John chapter 1:1. But we also see it in Genesis, where God spoke and it was. And John 1:1 is equating that spoken word with Christ himself. The Son is the revelation of the Father. And so there are parallels between this picture of wisdom in the Old Testament and its fuller understanding in wisdom as personified in the Son. The Son is more than the wisdom personified here. But he would certainly include the wisdom of Proverbs as part of who he is. So in Proverbs, wisdom is brought forth. In the New Testament, Christ is the one who brings that forth. And all of the wonders and beauty of creation is an expression of God's wisdom, and both an expression of God's wisdom, but also wisdom celebrates creation. So the manifest ways of the world, whether we're looking at the oceans, the mountains, all of the created things reflect and celebrate the glory and wisdom of God. And so it's that wisdom that is uh, present in the everyday actions of human beings, or invited into, as wisdom calls out and says, listen to me, heed me. The same wisdom that made the world provides the understanding to live well within it. If God created the heavens and the earth, he certainly knows the best way for human beings to live and to thrive. And so we have yet another invitation by wisdom to heed her and listen to her, because she promises to make the simple wise, promises that those who pay attention to her will be blessed for doing that. They will find favor from God and therefore life. And the life that is promised in Proverbs is very similar to the life that is promised in the New Testament. Not just being able to physically breathe, but to able to live a life that is worthy of living, a life that is filled with meaning and purpose, and a life that is fruitful and beneficial, not only to ourselves, but to others. And in contrast to that, once more, we have the warning that ignoring her uh, means to love death. In other words, ignoring wisdom will lead to death. And so, once again, we have this contrast between a life well lived and a life that leads to death. And so, in this um, nearing of the completion of the introduction of Proverbs, which we will see in Proverbs chapter 9, the final call, the contrast between wisdom and folly, we have this high point of acknowledging wisdom was present from the dawn of creation, and wisdom was instrumental in creation itself, as it was the wisdom of God that made this wonderful universe around us. So that's it for this week. We'll have another video coming soon.